misbehave, I get the flak to his party workers. DGCA crackdown after the Air India crash. Mandatory engine checks of the aircraft to be done. Airlines told to complete the checks by the 21st of July. Airlines are set to submit a report to the regulator. Odisha Governor seeks report on Balasore FM College student self-immolation incident. 24-hour deadlines given to the colleges and universities to set up anti-sexual harassment panel. Police has booked director P.A. Ranjit and team for stuntman Raju's death. The post-mortem report reveals severe internal injuries, bleeding in his head. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah speaks exclusively to NDTV. He says that he was promised statehood and the government, the centre, must fulfill promise. The Dragons undocks from the International Space Station. India's space hero Shubhanshu Shukla is coming home. US President Donald Trump threatens Russia with a 100% tariff if war on Ukraine isn't resolved within 50 days. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah, starting this bulletin with the big NDTV Impact. The Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra and Shiv Sena Chief, Eknath Shinde, he has cracked the whip on his party workers. After NDTV's relentless campaign, a stern warning goes out to Sena Cadre. No more hooliganism. Shinde has read the riot act to his party leaders and sent a clear message to slappers like Mr. Sanjay Gaikwad. The Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister has finally stepped in with a tough stand. In fact, while speaking to party men at a meeting in Dadar, the Shiv Sena Chief and the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Eknath Shinde, he delivered a strong and clear message to all the controversial ministers and MLAs involved in such acts. He says, and I quote, "In the past few days, certain incidents have taken place. People do not point fingers at you. They point at me for what you do. They ask me, what are your MLAs up to? You're all my people. We are one family. Your disrepute is my disrepute." He also goes on to say, don't waste your energy on unnecessary matters. Speak less, work more. He also issued a veiled warning, saying, and I quote, "Some ministers, they had to step down due to public backlash. I do not like to take actions against members of my own family, but don't compel me to do it. I expect discipline and accountability from each of you." In fact, my colleague Anuj Raite joins us to get us more on this. In fact, Radhika Ramaswamy also joins us to get more on this. To you first, Anuj, do you believe Eknath Shinde's warning is genuine, or is it just damage control?
That's secondary. At this point of time, what is important is to know that this is the first time that Eknath Shinde has, from what we know from our sources, has made it very clear to his cadre, to his workers in this very important meeting, which was attended by leaders and ministers from all across the state for Shiv Sena. And he has not minced his words, right? He's made it very clear that he is very affectionate to the party members, and he will go out of his way to make sure that their interests are kept well. But one thing that becomes very important to know is that he's given a very indirect reference to what happened with Dhananjay Munde. He's mentioned here that a minister has already had to step down because of his deeds or his connection with someone who was involved in a very serious crime. And, a reference of that nature is an extremely serious one, because here we're not just talking about Sanjay Gaikwad, we're also talking about Sanjay Shirsat, on whom there are a number of cases coming up. First, we had the CM order a probe into his Wits Hotel, case in Aurangabad. Then we had that video being made viral by Sanjay Raut. And today, another 2,000 crore rupees probe or corruption probe put against him by a social activist here in Maharashtra. So, in considering all of this, it was safe to believe that Shinde Sena was put on what can also be termed as a back foot for a long while. And they were waiting to hear from their leader we did hear a few tidbits about how Eknath Shinde has talked to a specific leader. He's talked to some other leader about, what he thinks of what has happened. But to say it publicly, make sure that he says it in front of all the party cadre members, in front of all of the ministers, is surely a very strong statement. And from what we know, as far as Shiv Sena's culture is concerned, Eknath Shinde is at the very center of that culture, right? We know that, especially since the split happened, Eknath Shinde has been very instrumental in the growth and the success that the party has received in the last couple of years. And that is also something that he's mentioned. He said that discipline is at the key of the success that the party has received in a very short span of time after the split. And the fact that that discipline is at the stake, becomes an important point to be considered here, which is why, it is safe to believe that, what actions will be taken or whether these words will be translated into quote unquote positive actions is something for us to wait and watch for. But as of now, we can very safely say that it's a move in a positive direction by making sure that he prepares for elections, civic better, and he also maintains some sort of discipline in the Fadnavis cabinet.
When we speak about these public acts of hooliganism, especially by people sitting in power, does this also reflect on the leadership issue? Is Sujata within the Shinde Shiv Sena at this point of time?
Well, absolutely, and like we know that it is now Eknath Shinde, given where we could see the Deputy Chief Minister giving very checkered, regulations for all his MLAs and stating that the success they've got, like Anuj mentioned, is in a very short span, and it was in a very disciplined manner that they were able to, make and form government and go an alliance with the BJP. But now that we see there have been Sanjay Gaikwad and Sanjay Shiv Sat, and this Sanjay factor has become a problem for the Shiv Sena now, because of which Eknath Shinde is strictly asking his MLAs to adhere by these rules and also not to give statements or do any such activity which questions the party's, their faithfulness and their dedication towards the people of Maharashtra. Because we know since the last few days, the language problem has become a major a challenge for multiple political parties, and then we always saw MNS and then the Shiv Sena UBT throwing themselves into this entire fight of, and we can call it a war over language, but this time it is, the Shiv Sena too, which is trying to be cautious ahead of the election in Mumbai, the local municipal elections, because of which we saw Deputy Chief Minister giving strict guidelines and also telling them that anything that affects their reputation affects his reputation as well as Shiv Sena's public image, because of which he clearly told that he is not willing to take action against any of such MLAs, but if they do so, then he'll be forced to take action against them. So a strict guideline for all the MLAs to follow, and if not, then of course they'll face the consequences of what Eknath Shinde has warned them of, because he knows now that, looking at these incidents that have happened, they are being carried heavily by us as well as other media houses, because of which it could lead to a negative image building of the party. And we've also told them that, he's always been working like a party worker, and he never tried to create a dominance over all of his MLAs. And we've seen that happening ever since 2022, when there was this political turmoil that we could see in Maharashtra. And now that the government is in power, and it is him as well who's been given the responsibility of, the Deputy Chief Minister as well as other ministry and portfolios, he needs to ensure that they are for the people and not against the people over something as common as language. And that is what a clear message that has been given by Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde today in Dadar, while he was addressing all of his party workers and especially the big leaders in the cadre. Over to you.
Right. We'll go to Radhika Ramaswamy in just a short bit from now. But let me go across to Shaina NC of the Shiv Sena, who's joining us at this point of time. Shaina NC, first of all, how do you reflect on the actions of your party worker, Mr. Sanjay Gaikwad, before I ask you any other question?
I don't understand why we are getting into controversy, and for no rhyme or reason. Your package where you suggest that, there are corrective measures, please understand that our leader, Eknath Shinde ji, has been elected by the people of Maharashtra. If you look at the strike rate where we have fought 80 seats, out of which we have won 60, it shows you it is based on the premise of the work. And today's meeting was only to enthuse cadre, so please don't get into speculative theories and false narratives. This is hardly what should be the outcome of a meeting which is to empower your cadre, to get them ready, because as our leader Eknathji Shinde says, and clearly, that this Sthanik Swaraj is the election of our Karyakartas, and we will continue to beat the strike rate, even that of the Vidhan Sabha elections, where we got 73% of our strike in terms of the MLAs who had come to power. And obviously, if we had fought more seats, unlike other parties that fought 100 seats and got only 20. So I think sometimes in your narrative, you can also highlight the good work which has been done by the Shiv Sena under the leadership of Eknathji Shinde, whether it's rehousing citizens of Maharashtra and Mumbai, clearly whether it's the Charles of the BDD Charl or the Taravi rehabilitation, or the fact that Maha has given out so many homes. The list is endless. We are here only and only to talk about development.
No, but it is all great that the government is doing all of this work, and we all appreciate it. The people of Maharashtra appreciate it. But when your party worker, they take law into their own hands, it doesn't reflect well, isn't it?
I think that it's amply clear that we have not taken law into our hands, unlike other parties, for their own political one-upmanship or their own relevance that they want to have in the scheme of things. The motive is suspect, the timing is suspect, and it is all driven by BMC elections. I don't think that we must analyze beyond the point where there is a process of
Sanjay
law.
Gaikwad a member of your party?
You go on and on about one single incident of a particular case where there has been an apology, where there has been introspection. I'd just like to say,
but Mr. Sanjay Gaikwad has not apologized. Shina NC, Mr. Sanjay Gaikwad has not apologized. In fact, he keeps saying that if something like this comes up, I'm going to do it again.
When you call somebody and ask them that what was discussed at a party meeting, let me please tell you, any party meeting works only for the organization and for the organizational strength. Unlike other parties which are only trying to stay relevant by taking law into their hands, that is not the philosophy of Adarnya Hindu Hriday Samrat Adarnya Balasaheb Thackeray or our mass leader and most popular Eknathji Shinde.
No, but when your party chief, Mr. Eknath Shinde, he goes on to say that look, all of your actions, it reflects badly. All right, Shina NC has disconnected that call. And in fact, let me go back to Radhika Ramaswamy, who's standing here. All right, we have Anuj Raithe here joining us at this moment. Anuj, we just heard from Shina NC of the Shiv Sena, and without giving us proper answers, she has just disconnected, tried to divert the entire question. I mean, the Deputy Chief Minister, he had to come out and apologize. In fact, he had to come out, not apologize, but he had to reprimand his party workers. He had to go, very categorically say that your actions, I have to face the flak when you do something like this.
We need to understand the timeline of this entire matter, right? This is not the first time that such an incident has happened with a Shiv Sena leader, and there are a lot of speculative theories for all the good reasons, as far as the equation of Sena ministers or Sena leaders is concerned. Firstly, the communication within Shiv Sena is it's basically it functions like a party chief. It's a cadre-based party, right? Here we do not see a lot of scope for individuals at the level of spokespersons or leaders on ground to kind of have their own opinion over what the party chief has said. And that is exactly why one can see, a safe stand being taken by a lot of leaders, because they know that, the inputs that we've gotten from the meeting as far as Shiv Sena meeting is concerned is not public, right? So there is no public acknowledgement of that particular issue. But I said timeline is important is because as soon as the Sanjay Gaikwad incident happened, the very next day, we got to know from our sources that Eknath Shinde, who was not in the city back then, got in touch with both Sanjay Gaikwad and Sanjay Shirsat and did speak to them about his displeasure, did speak to them about how this does hamper the chance of the party to perform well, especially when it is trying to, field or go independent in this part of the state, that is in Mumbai for the upcoming BMC polls. And for Shiv Sena, Shinde Sena especially, the BMC polls are going to be very important because we also need to consider that the Thackeray brothers, their reunion rumors are also around, they're also making a lot of rounds here in the state politics. In all of this, if there are, party leaders giving statements which go beyond the whip that has been passed by the party chief himself, that shows, lack of unity, something that Shinde Sena has been privy to in the last few weeks. We remember that when the anti-Hindi protests were happening in Mira Bhayandar, when the protesters were protesting against the government, one of the Shinde Sena leaders, in fact, the transport minister, Pratap Sarnaik, tried to be a part of that protest so that they do not lose contact with their Marathi voter base. But the protesters shooed him away, saying that he's a representative of the government. In this entire matter, what becomes clear is that they are in a very dicey and tricky waters where, on one hand, they do want to carry on, with the Marathi Manu sentiment, but they also want to keep their loyalty in the state government intact. And such kind of an incident, what happened with Sanjay Gaikwad just, last week, makes the situation even more difficult for them. And that is perhaps one of the major reasons why Eknath Shinde has chosen to not speak publicly about this, because him, putting down his leader or even blaming his leader for doing what he did publicly would send, not a very positive message, not just amongst the cadre, but also amongst the voter base of the party, especially in Mumbai, something that is very important and crucial for the party at this moment.
Right. Radhika Ramaswamy also joins us at this moment. Radhika, I was going to ask this question to Shaina and see that why has there been no swift action taken against any disciplinary action taken against Sanjay Gaikwad or the others involved in this public act of violence, in this hooliganism? But we could not ask that. We did not get that answer. Why has there been no action taken against the leader?
As far as Shinde's party goes, as far as Shiv Sena goes, yes, they have sent out strict warning. Eknath Shinde to send out that strong message at this point. Disciplinary action. Instead, what he has said is asking his MLAs to speak less, work more, asking them to take accountability, take responsibility, and also giving that final warning to them. He says that if such incidents repeats, then he will be forced to take action. So yes, he's ready to give them, unfortunately, give them one more, a chance to sort of mend their mistakes, which is why a meeting was taken and strong message and warning was given to the leaders. So at this point, yes, unfortunately, no disciplinary action. There's just a non-cognizable offence registered in a police station, whereby multiple sections have been added against this MLA. But since it's an NC, no arrest will take place. These are all very light, weak charges that have been filed against this particular MLA. And the fact that he's unapologetic. Repeatedly, he said that he will not apologize and that, this is something that he wanted to do as the food was taken. Justifying his acts, despite that, we believe that Shinde is going very, very lenient towards this particular MLA. But yes, strong message they're being sent out by the leader.
Well, Eknath Shinde has warned that indiscipline will no longer be tolerated, but will there also be action? That is something that we'll have to wait and watch. Radhika Ramaswamy, Sujata Dwivedi and Anuj Raite, thank you very much for getting us all those details. And shifting our focus to our other story that we are tracking, Bollywood and Haryanvi pop singer Rahul Fazilpurya narrowly escaped a shooting incident on the southern peripheral road near Badshahpur in Gurugram on Monday. According to local reports, unidentified assailants, they opened fire at Fazilpurya's vehicle while it was on the SPR stretch. The attackers, they managed to flee the spot and no injuries were reported. Fazilpurya, who is known for his popular tracks in the Haryanvi music circuit and Bollywood collaborations as well, was in that vehicle when this attack took place but escaped unhurt. The Rath Yatra in Toronto, Canada was disrupted with eggs being hurled at devotees. This has prompted a reaction from the Ministry of External Affairs, who have urged the Canadian government to take up action and have taken up the matter with Canadian authorities. The MEA has termed this incident deeply regrettable. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, that is the DGCA, has ordered a mandatory inspection of engine fuel switches on all affected aircraft registered in India following the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau's, that is the AAIB, preliminary report into the 12th June Air India crash in Ahmedabad that killed 260 people. The DGCA has directed all airline operators to complete this inspection of the engine fuel switches by the 21st of July this year. The regulator has also issued mandatory modifications for aircraft engines and components based on airworthiness directives issued by the state of design or manufacture. A well-known stunt artist, SM Raju, was killed in a horrific car crash on Sunday morning that took place in Tamil Nadu during the shooting of a high-risk car-toppling sequence for Tamil star Arya's upcoming film Vettu One, directed by P.A. Ranjit. Chilling visuals of this accident have surfaced, depicting Raju driving a car at high speed before it violently topples and crumples, drawing gasps of horror from the crew. A case of negligence has been registered against Ranjit, his assistant, vehicle owner and the manager. Odisha Governor seeks a report on the Balasore FM College student self-immolation incident. The Governor has demanded an immediate report from the state government seeking clarity on the circumstances and reasons behind this incident, along with prompt and exemplary action against those responsible. This incident, which occurred on Saturday, has sparked widespread concern. The former Chief Minister and Leader of Opposition, Naveen Patnaik, he has urged the Governor, in his capacity as Chancellor of the University, to take action, urgent action. A Facebook post by one person who said that he went to look for a ball that fell into an abandoned home in Nampally, in the heart of Hyderabad, and found a skeleton inside. That has caught the attention of the authorities. On the 14th of July, human skeletal remains were discovered in a locked house near Nampally market in Hyderabad. Local residents, they alerted the police after noticing a foul smell emanating from the house, which had reportedly been shut for over 7 years. Police officials visited the scene, and the Habibnagar police have launched an investigation. The identity of the deceased, including whether the remains belong to a man or a woman, is yet to be established. The skeleton has been shifted to the mortuary for examination by experts. And you might soon be able to see warning signs along with your favorite chai, samosa and jalebi, or at least on the walls near the places where you buy them. The central health institutions like the AIIMS Nagpur, they have been instructed to install signs with oil and sugar health warnings in cafeterias, food courts and other public spaces, according to media outlets. The Health Ministry has ordered all central institutions, including AIIMS Nagpur, to install oil and sugar boards, vivid posters spelling out how much hidden fat and sugar lurk in everyday snacks. This is it's a first step towards treating junk food like tobacco.
The samosas, which is deep fried in reused oil, which is commonly been sold, and this is a major source of trans fat. You know, the jalebis, which are soaked in a sugar syrup, a sugar bomb with zero nutritional value, and it is fried in hydrogenated oils. It causes blood sugar spikes, contributing to inflammation and excess calorie load. These foods which are consumed on regularly leads to hypertension, dyslipidemia, that is the abnormal cholesterols, atherosclerosis, obesity, diabetes, and ultimately heart attacks, heart failures and early cardiac deaths.
This is a very good decision taken by the Ministry of Health. This initiative is being compared to the warning labels seen on cigarette packs, and rightly so. Excessive sugar and trans fat can be extremely harmful to our health over time. Snacks like samosa, jalebi, bhujia, though delicious, are often loaded with trans fat, refined flour and sugar, which can lead to obesity, heart disease, high cholesterol and diabetes.
As far as the India-US trade deal is concerned, the Union Minister has spoken on the trade deal, Mr. Piyush Goyal. He says that negotiations are at fast pace. Talks for a win-win trade deal is currently on. A high-level team is in the United States for these talks. The question remains, will India seal the deal soon? In fact, on the Indo-US trade tariffs, Mr. Piyush Goyal said, and I quote, negotiations are going on with the United States at a fast pace with a spirit of mutual cooperation.
I've often said trade negotiations are not done on camera with the media. They are done between two nations, and negotiations are going on at a very fast pace and in the spirit of mutual cooperation so that we can come out with a win-win trade complementing agreement with the United States.
The US President Donald Trump has threatened Russia with 100% secondary tariffs if the war in Ukraine does not end soon, as he announced an agreement with NATO allies to send more weapons to Kiev. Listen in.
Secondary tariffs are very, very powerful.
What about the tariffs that the Republicans in the House and the Senate have ready? Those were 500%.
Sure.
Why are you doing 100%?
Well, the Republicans are moving very strongly in the Senate, giving us total control of it. They've actually crafted a pretty good